Verdin is a brilliant mind, trapped within the enigmatic confines of the Bohemerean Magic Tower. He has apparently been seized by the ruthless Tower Master, enduring relentless torture that threatens to consume his life. The Tower Master's goal is to extract from Verdin the very essence of what makes him extraordinary. What the Master covets most is Verdin's intelligence and the vast knowledge he has amassed over the years. Now Verdin is reduced to little more than a lab experiment, a victim slowly succumbing to death within this cursed place. Finally, Verdin has uncovered the grim truth behind his exploitation. The harsh reality is that his captors see him as weak and powerless. To fully grasp how Verdin arrived at this tragic fate, some background is essential. Here's the full story. His harsh journey began 15 years ago in an orphanage, parentless and alone, harboring only one steadfast dream to become a masterful mage. Eventually, he joined the Magic Tower as an ordinary laborer, eager to learn magic, yet despite his unwavering effort, he was shackled by the so-called growth limit. A mage compatibility test he failed at 7 years old, dooming him from achieving magehood. A verdict that crushed his lifelong ambition. Yet in spite of this devastating setback, Verdin refused to abandon his dream of becoming a fully recognized and accomplished mage. While working incognito as a lowly laborer in the Magic Tower, he furtively devoured the spell books left unattended in the chambers. Despite possessing only modest magical power, he immersed himself in every tome the tower's vast library offered. It was his sharp intellect and keen mind, not magic, that fueled his unwavering hope and determination to persevere. Years slipped by, and through relentless dedication and toil, he finally earned his place as a researcher within a Magic Tower. During his tenure, his groundbreaking research and innovative ideas astonished everyone throughout the tower. It dawned on him, then, that his brilliance was no mere coincidence. His genius soared beyond conventional bounds. Proudly, he shared his most significant findings with Lucard, the only colleague with whom he maintained a genuine connection. Lucard became the very first to confront and acknowledge the boundless promise that our protagonist possessed. It hardly seemed implausible that he could rise from a humble laborer to a distinguished scholar of arcane knowledge. Yet, his aspiration to become a renowned scholar within the Magic Tower remained merely a dream. When Lucard betrayed him in the worst possible way, that treacherous fiend stole Verdin's thesis papers just one day before the crucial submission deadline. Lucard brazenly submitted the stolen work as his own, to the Tower Master claiming full credit and ownership. When Verdin exposed the theft to the Tower Master, the Master was stunned to learn that someone like Verdin had conceived the intricate multi-dimensional continuity theory. The imposter who stole it was none other than Balrog Besias, the so-called esteemed Bohemian Magic Tower Master. Verdin trusted wholeheartedly that the Master would uphold true justice. However, he had no idea that his outstanding achievements would awaken a ruthless greed in the Tower Master, transforming him into a merciless tyrant, now trapped and tormented. Verdin bitterly regrets not fleeing to live an ordinary life. By day, he is exploited as a laborer. At night, these fiends subject him to agonizing experiments. He was once forced to create a magic circle to prove the theory from his thesis. To conduct this experiment, they injected drugs directly into his veins to monitor his body's response. Their aim was for him to develop a new potion by perfecting its formula. All he received in return were death threats from the Tower Master against those he held dear. For Verdin, life feels utterly ruined, powerless against these monstrous tormentors. As he lies there bitter, sweet memories from his past flicker vividly in his mind. His thoughts are so fragmented that he barely recognizes these recollections or understands their significance. Among the memories is Rovlin, a girl with whom he once vowed to become a powerful mage. Had his potential for growth been greater, perhaps none of this tragedy would have occurred. But for now, Verdin sees no hope left except to accept his impending demise. After every harrowing experiment, a strange, chilling voice lingers. A cold whisper like the murmur of ants that hints Verdun's will to live has not truly vanished. Or at least that's what he convinces himself. Deep inside, those whispers grow louder, accumulating like an ever-growing mound of ants, driven by vengeance and the will to survive. The ants advise him to grit his teeth and endure the agony until the very end. Only after that will he be reborn, stronger than ever, immune to anyone who might try to crush him. He will harness immense power and break through all his previous limitations. This being finally ignites a spark of hope in Verdin, proving that his struggle isn't over yet. He can channel the seething heat of his resentment to sharpen the blade of his revenge. Determined, he sets to work, vowing to defy destiny by mastering a revolutionary method of rebuilding his body, unlike anything ever witnessed. By the following day, he's convinced he will shatter his limits for good. His long-sought theory to defy the heavens and reconstruct his body at last reaches completion. All that remains is to bring it to life. He is ready to test it no matter the cost, even if his powerless body breaks apart. Success means freedom awaits him by dawn. The long night fades, and finally, the day dawns for him to set his revolutionary plan into action. As usual, those lowlifes arrived to assign him a trivial chore in the alchemy lab, like scrubbing the floors. He's sharply ordered to cleanse the blood from his body and tend to his wounds before showing up, all while enduring their constant insults and jeers. Yet he silently absorbs their abuse and complies, following every command without resistance. Later, he can be seen diligently cleaning the equipment in the alchemy lab, committed to his mission as he tidies up. His childhood friend Ravelin unexpectedly arrives. Surprised, he asks why she's here. She responds by reminding him of her imminent departure plans. Suddenly, Verdin recalls that she's about to move abroad to continue her studies in the magic city of Verint, a prestigious opportunity reserved for the tower's most outstanding scholars. He feels genuinely happy for her and wishes her all the best. At the same time, she gazes at him with concern, repeating her invitation and urging him to join her in Verint. Unlike here, he wouldn't have to endure arrogant individuals who belittle him. The Magic City could offer him fresh opportunities to grow and learn. As a side note, she makes it clear that her invitation is purely for his benefit, not because of any romantic interest. After a brief pause, his brother finally announces his decision, a conclusion that hardly comes as a surprise to me. The girl feels a wave of sadness wash over her in response to his choice. Watching her walk away through the bars of his window, he feels relief that she remains unaware of the hardships he's endured and the ordeals he has faced. Now that she's gone, she will be spared from the unintended consequences of the dark schemes he has planned for this magic tower. Speaking of the tower, the forthcoming Magic Festival represents its most pivotal event of the year. This globally celebrated festival honors the founding of the first Magic Tower and commemorates the resurgence of magic itself, making it the busiest and most important day for the tower annually. As the festival kicks off, the top-tier mages all depart for the major cities, leaving behind only the lower-ranked ones, giving our protagonist the perfect chance to execute the wildly audacious plan he's been devising at this moment. He's en route to meet the guardian overseeing the treasure vault. After serving the insufferable fool his demanded tea, he boldly requests entry into the vault, citing the tower master's order to clean the treasure chambers. Only after that arrogant jerk grudgingly grants his permission does he proceed. Verdin steps through the threshold and quietly closes the door behind him. He carefully activates a soundproofing artifact to ensure no noise escapes. This marks the turning point where everything changes. As he ventures deeper, he discovers the most coveted and priceless artifact hidden within. Legend holds that the tower master invested a fortune to create this artificial relic, which enables a mage to perform triple casting and momentarily unlocks the innate potential of whoever wields it. This staff is a pivotal element in Verdin's intricate scheme. To claim it, he must dismantle the protective magic circle of Formidable, 7th tier spell personally crafted by the Tower Master. For the past 7 years, Verdin has relentlessly devoted himself to mastering the method to shatter this spell now. At last he stands, ready to obliterate the artifact the Tower Master holds most dear. Meanwhile, somewhere high in the tower, two hapless fools drink and grumble, frustrated that while others revel in the festival's joy, they're stuck guarding the vital power source. Yet they can hardly blame fate. They drew the short straws themselves, as they curse their rotten luck. Our hero approaches these drunken sentries, only to be ordered away to fetch them more liquor. Turning to leave, one of them mutters darkly about the day he'll rise to Tower Master. Then he won't have to endure this cheap swill. His companion, however, doubts that securing that position will be as simple as his friend imagines. But it seems this dreamer won't live to see that day. For our protagonist now grips the staff firmly in his hand. With a swift move, he slashes the dreamer's throat, just as Greenhead turns, stunned, toward the source of the fatal strike that felled his friend. To his disbelief, he finds Verdin standing there, a mere underling daring to overreach, determined to reprimand him. Greenhead unleashes a powerful rank 3 spell called Tidal Wave. In a swift counter, our hero wields the stolen staff to cast Earth Spear, a spell of his own creation. The magic conjures massive stone spears that rain down with unstoppable force, overwhelming the attacker and felling him instantly. Greenhead struggles to comprehend how someone as lowly ranked as Verdin, barely ranked 1, could even wield magic at all. Verdin doesn't hesitate. He confronts the villain head on like a relentless reaper, and swiftly ends his tormentor's life. For all the suffering inflicted, after slaying the pair, he exploits their fingerprints to infiltrate the pulsating core, the vital power source of the Magic Tower. A milestone achieved after 7 long years. Harnessing the mana flowing from this power source, he readies himself to cast the formidable spell. Known as Defying Heavens, he steels his mind, prepared to accept whatever consequences may arise from failure, no matter how grim the outcome. Surrender isn't an option. Enveloping himself and the power source within an enchanted magic circle, he finally activates the Defying Heavens spell, designed to reconstruct his very body. The ritual commences, and an overwhelming surge of magical energy gushes forth from the core. Such raw, potent magic radiates so fiercely that it's visible from miles away. Whatever Verdin is unleashing is colossal. Even the tower's master en route to the city festival notices this immense energy shining in the distance. Only the power source can emit such a force, signaling that an intruder has breached the tower and is siphoning its energy for their own use. Within moments, the tower crumbles into a cloud of dust, and from the ruins, Verdin rises unscathed. The staff he wields disintegrates into fine dust, alongside the collapsing structure. Witnessing the entire site reduced to rubble while he remains alive confirms the plan worked flawlessly. Suddenly, his attention is drawn upward to an unexpected sight in the sky. It's the Tower Master arriving on the scene, soaring through the air by conjuring glowing, magical circles beneath him. He desperately tries to catch the thief, who has just obliterated his towering fortress of magic into dust. Amid the devastation, the Tower Master spots the fugitive and immediately unleashes a fierce, offensive spell targeting him. However, the fugitive vanishes before the attack lands, slipping away through a swift teleportation spell, leaving the Tower Master grinding his teeth in frustration, consumed by rage. The Tower Master radiates a dark and sinister magical aura that causes the surrounding boulders to rise and float menacingly around him. Whether the culprit is the Emperor himself or merely a child, he is determined to eliminate anyone who dared demolish his cherished Magic Tower with dawn breaking. The next scene reveals the tranquil and undisturbed silence, enveloping the majestic mountain range. Deep within the forest, the young man awakens confused and disoriented, unsure of where he has been transported. Washing his face with the cold river water, he catches a glance of his reflection and is stunned to see that his appearance has undergone a complete transformation. His once brown hair has faded to an ashen gray, and his dark pupils have shifted into a striking clear blue. He is uncertain whether he has become an entirely new person, or if these changes are the result of some alteration during his physical reconstruction. Looking back, He vividly recalls overpowering the defenders of the Magic Tower and ultimately defying the heavens themselves. Before the Tower Master could mount any counterattack, he vanished instantly by activating his teleportation magic. Now stranded in an unfamiliar place, he observes that the surrounding flora is vastly different from anything near the Bohemian Magic Tower, indicating he has likely teleported across half the continent. In short, he masterfully wielded the defying heavens technique to alter his form and slipped away through the prearranged magic circle. A genuine hearty laugh burst from him as he finally claims the freedom that was once beyond his reach. He can't suppress a chuckle at the thought of the Tower Master falling into utter chaos at this moment. With the Magic Tower in ruins, the Tower Master remains clueless about who orchestrated the disaster and won't suspect that his experiment fled, rather than perished miserably. Though the setback is significant, it won't topple the Magic Tower from its foundations. Despite manpower losses, Verdin is confident that the Tower Master has prepared defenses. After all, Balrog Besias wasn't called the Omnipotent One without reason. Still, for now, Verdin takes satisfaction in the damage inflicted. As the Magic Tower rebuilds, he'll grow stronger and strategize his vengeance. A revenge, complete only when every trace of Balrog's legacy is obliterated. Most importantly, if successful, Mage Verdun's name will be forever engraved in the annals of history. From this point onward, the narrative centers on Verdin's pursuit of retribution, respect, and the honor he intends to claim as a renowned mage. This single goal will drive him forward, though for now he temporarily sets aside vengeance and the tower to focus on his personal growth. Shortly afterward, he encounters a peculiar green figure, struggling to extract an axe stuck inside a wooden crate. Taking advantage of his opponent's distraction, Verdin swiftly defeats him with one precise strike. It appears he has yet to achieve any significant breakthroughs in his magical abilities, although his hair and eye colors have changed. His overall appearance remains largely unchanged, and his mana capacity shows no sign of improvement. He shifts his attention to the environment around him. Goblins appear frequently here, indicating he must be quite distant from the main village. He spots skid marks left by a cart in a wooden box nearby, likely dropped when the cart abruptly sped away. Using his mana sensing ability, he traces a faint stream of mana flowing along the road. The cart driver appears petrified, as though someone or something is hot on his trail. To understand the situation, the driver explains that he encountered remnants of bandits who were supposedly eliminated not long ago. He even attempted to negotiate by invoking Baron Pyth's name, but it proved futile, making matters worse. The mercenaries meant to protect him deserted him, but this trouble paled in comparison to the enormous orc, who appeared with a menacing grin. While the orc and goblins feasted on the scattered bandits, the driver seized the opportunity amidst the chaos to escape. Thanks to the distraction caused by those bandits, he managed to buy valuable time to flee. Suddenly, a sinister growl of an approaching monster cuts through the air. Sending him into a panic, he lashes his horse into a desperate gallop. Realizing his luck might have finally run out, his cart strikes a thick tree root, toppling over, and he hurriedly scrambles to his feet, only to come face to face with a pack of bloodthirsty eyes, glaring menacingly at him. The creatures emerge from the shadows of the forest. Ravenous for human flesh, a terrified man trembles, resigned to meet a miserable demise as their next meal. As the monster lunges forward, the man closes his eyes, bracing himself for the inevitable. Yet fortune hasn't entirely abandoned him. He is suddenly shielded by the familiar embrace of earth magic. Of course, this protective spell was cast by our young hero himself. The mindless creatures shift their focus toward their next victim. Burton stands poised atop a towering monolith. This seems like the perfect opportunity for him to test his powers, beginning with these hapless monsters, blindly charging toward their doom. He unleashes a volley of flaming arrows, igniting many and reducing them to smoldering ashes. The massive orc pack leader snarls in fury and commands a renewed assault. As the next wave charges, Verdin attempts double casting for the first time, blending an electrified arrow spell with his fire magic. This powerful combination known as heat wave arrow culminates in a devastating explosion that rattles the entire battlefield. Every goblin is reduced to ashes, astonishing Verdin, especially since before his body reconstruction, he wouldn't have been able to kill even one on his own. Now none remain. Turning his gaze next to the carriage driver, trapped beneath a protective earth dome, Verdin surmises the man is likely struggling to breathe, with oxygen cut off, but as Verdin's attention wavers momentarily, the tenacious orc clings to life and attempts a stealthy attack on its prey. So caught off guard, the orc lacks the strength to overpower him. Sometime later, the carriage is once again fastened to the horses. The owner, grinning like a child in a candy shop, showers Verdin with heartfelt thanks because of Verdun's courage. The man survived, and he offers him a complimentary ride, though the driver insists this cannot possibly repay the debt he owes. Verdun sternly warns him to keep his eyes fixed on the road, or he risks overturning the carriage once more. Despite the warning, the man won't stop chattering, bombarding Verdun with strange questions in his cheerful mood, speaking so endlessly that he unwittingly frays Verdun's patience to its breaking point. Verdun's thoughts remain unsettled, still shaken from the tense encounter with the orc. Sly ambush after responding to one of the driver's inquiries. Verdin probes whether bandits frequently appear in this region, knowing that thieves usually steer clear of areas infested with dangerous creatures. The carriage owner confesses this is his inaugural encounter with any monsters. He explains that the forest falls under the jurisdiction of a formidable figure named Baron Pydeh, with whom he's maintained close ties since childhood. Baron Pydeh had assured him that any thieves lingering in the area had already been dealt with. That confidence led him to choose the familiar route, without hiring costly mercenaries for protection. Verdin pieces together several clues. Initially suspecting his teleportation had failed, he now realizes that if he's indeed within Baron Pydeh's domain, he has arrived where he intended. Though he erased all evidence that could betray him, it's still possible. The Bohemian Magic Tower suspects him of the devastation and may be actively searching. Therefore, despite his altered appearance, he must conceal his true identity while continuing to strengthen himself. With this resolve, he adopts a new name, Asher, and vows to reserve the name Verdin solely for a one-on-one confrontation with the master of the Magic Tower. Cut to Baron Pydeh's grand estate, nestled within his realm. Baron Pydeh and his attendants exchange stunned glances upon seeing the carriage driver Conrad, battered beyond recognition. Ever the optimist Conrad cheerfully recounts that his injuries stem from a desperate escape from marauding orcs. Though Baron Pydeh's apologies flow freely, they cannot erase the hardships Conrad has suffered. Not only was he ambushed by thieves, but he also endured a frightening clash with orcs, yet Conrad reassures his friend there's no need for guilt, redirecting his focus to the mage, who likely intervened on Conrad's behalf. Baron Pydeh warmly invites Asher inside to share in the hospitality he rightfully deserves. Sometime later, newly dressed and refreshed, Asher expresses heartfelt gratitude to Baron Pydeh for providing nourishment, shelter, and a welcoming home for the night. The Lord takes genuine pleasure in offering Asher the finest accommodations and care he has to give. Suddenly aware that formal introductions are overdue, the Baron presents himself properly as Baron Pitha-Henrod, the sovereign ruler of these lands. The table is soon adorned with an opulent array of sumptuous dishes, demonstrating his generosity. The Baron offers Asher a substantial reward of 5 million elk to ensure he's handsomely compensated. Despite the unusual timing, the Baron earnestly requests to employ Asher for an important job, promising a lucrative payout. Given Asher's financial needs, he sees no valid reason to decline. Furthermore, the assignment will provide Asher with invaluable, real-world experience to hone his magical skills, prompting him to inquire about the details of the task. Baron Pyd reveals that just days ago, several bodies were discovered hanging by their necks, deep within the southern forest. A private investigation uncovered that all the victims hailed from a nearby farming village. now reduced to ruins initially. The suspicion fell on bandits, however. After a thorough search, no trace of them was found, almost as if some magic had wiped away all evidence. Upon hearing this, Asher speculates that the bandits might include a mage among their ranks. Although it's mere conjecture, he inquires when the hunt will commence. Verdin replies that the operation will begin in 4 days. 4 days pass swiftly, and a group assembles to join Asher on the forthcoming mission. A senior knight steps forward, introducing himself as Enoch, the mission's commanding officer. Among his team are his subordinates Harris, recognizable by his black hair, and the youthful Perrick. Meanwhile, Asher harbors a growing sense of foolishness for being tricked into joining this bandit hunt, orchestrated by the shrewd Baron. He questions the presence of several men lingering in the background, wondering if they are part of the expedition. It turns out they are adventurers, attracted by rumors of a peculiar orc recently sighted. The bounty for slaying this ORC is so generous that even gold-rank adventurers have been drawn to the area. Gold-rank adventurers are reputed to match ordinary knights in skill, experienced veterans who masterfully channel energy to enhance themselves and their weapons. Legend has it these warriors can fell entire mountains cruelly. Since these seasoned knights and adventurers still require Asher's aid, something unusual must be at play as they navigate dense forests. Enoch emphasizes to Asher the importance of alerting them immediately if he detects a mage among the bandits. Typically Tier 2 mages possess strength comparable to knights, but their ability to cast powerful, long-range spells makes it challenging for opponents to close the distance. The ideal scenario arises when no mages are present. Enoch's deepest fears materialize as they come upon a magic circle lying directly ahead. Employing a spell, Asher reveals the massive circle concealed beneath by dispelling its camouflage. Everyone is taken aback to learn that the first spell Asher dismantled was nothing more than a simple camouflage. Although the enormous circle serves as a signal to others, Asher commands everyone to stand back and boldly advances alone. Enoch stands in sheer awe as Asher effortlessly eradicates the warning circle in an instant. Now it's clear why the Baron insisted on having Asher for this mission, especially since the knights are defenseless against attacks launched from a distance. Speaking of which, let's delve into the role of explorers, or adventurers. They typically operate within guilds independently, accepting assignments throughout the land. Their primary duty is to investigate uncharted or perilous regions, with monster eradication being a key component. It sounds straightforward, right? Of course, these individuals constantly traverse treacherous paths, confronting life and death challenges at every turn. Yet it's precisely this danger that earns them admiration across the globe. Naturally skilled adventurers gain wealth and fame through the quests they undertake. Sometimes, adventurers endure such relentless death and harrowing experiences that they lose their sanity. These warped souls, consumed by bloodlust and unable to control their emotions, turn on humans themselves, known as the bandits of this world. They embody the corruption of those once noble. Speaking of bandits, 2 of them linger nearby, frustrated after narrowly escaping a devastating assault by Baron Pyth's raid party. On top of battling creatures like orcs and goblins, their dwindling food supplies have made survival an increasingly desperate struggle. Their leader bellows at the idle group, berating them for standing idly, and commanding them to hunt down any game for sustenance. Meanwhile, our group observes the bandit situation from the shadows. The knights await instructions from Commander Enoch, the most seasoned warrior among them. Drawing his sword, Enoch senses the perfect opportunity to strike, especially since the bandit leader has dispatched his men on a hunt. However, our companion urges caution. Though assigned as a safeguard against the enemy mage, Verdin warns that rushing in blindly, without understanding their foes, would be reckless, despite his understandable concerns. Commander Enoch believes they must act immediately to prevent the bandits from mobilizing, knowing that if the enemy mage ever manages to establish a magic circle above Verdun's, all their efforts will be futile. In response, Verdun discloses a possible solution that could resolve their predicament. Turning to the bandit leader, he expresses frustration that their reconnaissance yielded nothing but wasted effort, compounded by the loss of a novice recruit, however. His mage companion accuses Viria of complaining excessively and insists they concentrate on finding a viable strategy. None of them anticipated a monstrous orc suddenly emerging to slaughter some of their men, an event so rare even for seasoned explorers. The bandit reflects on his grim involvement in this dubious affair, which began when he betrayed a comrade for financial gain. Viria urges his mage ally Vilshin to target a different village, yet neglects to consider that the Baron remains furious over their gruesome display of corpses from their previous raid. Moreover, although concealment magic has helped them evade detection, they can't linger indefinitely. The mage suggests relocating to a nearby city called Mards, which lies not far from the forest. As they deliberate on the strategy to annihilate the village, near the city, a searing beam of energy narrowly misses them before striking the ground with a devastating explosion. The mage successfully conjures a protective barrier that shields them from harm. A sudden blast was always a possibility on their radar. Wilson reveals their position has been compromised and warns that they are walking into an ambush. Meanwhile, the two knights, under Commander Inox's command, have already launched their offensive. Their coordinated strikes overpower Vilshin's defense, shattering the barrier and forcing him out of it. A heavy blow lands on the enemy mage, prompting his companion Varia to fear for his well-being. The mana barrier's strength lies in its quick deployment as a defense, but its weakness is that it can be broken just as swiftly. Breaking a barrier exacts a significant toll on the caster. Our ally, revealed as a formidable mage thanks to Verdun's scheme, explains this, helping them realize the enemy mage and his forces will be vulnerable. Commander Enoch now hopes their mage unleashes their full power, while Varia struggles, aware that the Baron's fury leaves no room for mercy. The fact that he employed a powerful mage speaks volumes about his deadly intent. Unyielding, the stubborn bandit refuses to surrender and charges forward swiftly to launch an attack. Commander Inox's blade's sword clashes fiercely against Varys, who coldly vows to kill them all and bring their heads back to the Baron as trophies. The formidable Giga Chad. Commander brushes off the threat as a mere joke, even daring his opponent to do his worst to fulfill such a bold claim, while their blades lock in combat. Verdin relentlessly pursues the enemy mage, who is desperately trying to flee. His escape attempts are thwarted because Verdin is hot on his trail. Vilshin finds it convenient that the bothersome mage confronting him keeps summoning an earth wall repeatedly, blocking his path. Aware that only third circle mages possess the ability to fly, Vilshin deduces that Verdin must be no more than a second circle mage. Bullied by this assumption, Vilshin confidently launches a barrage of ice arrows at his opponent, aiming to overwhelm him in a direct assault. The ice arrows swiftly fly toward Verdin, while Vilshin smugly believes that defeating him will be effortless. At least that's what he thought. However, Verdin surprises him by conjuring an immediate counterattack, a spell casting multiple flaming arrows. The fiery and icy arrows collide midair in a spectacular explosion, their opposing forces neutralizing each other in a massive burst. When the dust settles, an enormous crater scars the battlefield, a testament to the ferocity of their magical clash. Vilshin, though, impressed by the second circle mage's ability to keep pace with him, also pities Verdin for his poor choice in challenging such a formidable adversary. Facing Vilshin alone would have been far easier if he had a knight fighting alongside him. But judging by Vilshin's demeanor, even nursing an injury, he remains confident he can defeat our guy. Meanwhile, Verdin steps out from the smoke with unwavering confidence, declaring he never intended to let Vilshin slip away in the first place. The enemy mage compliments the young man's prowess in wielding complex, a tribute magic recognizing Verdin as a rare and prodigious talent. But Vilshin isn't in the mood for pleasantries. He believes Verdin seriously underestimated him and is clearly caught off guard by his own impending defeat. Without hesitation, Vilshin unleashes a powerful third circle ice spell called Falling Ice. Imagine the crushing force of an entire glacier crashing down upon you. He's certain that our guy has no chance of surviving such a devastating attack. The massive block of ice collides with Verdin, yet astonishingly nothing happens. Vilshin stands stunned, utterly baffled by the unexpected outcome. It appears Verdin successfully halted the spell's impact by summoning a barrier of countless earth spears, preventing the ice from touching either him or the ground. Unfazed, our guy casually invokes the spell's name again, clenching his fist with quiet determination. With ease, the mage smashes through the icy block, shattering it without breaking a sweat. The moment the blue boy witnesses the earth spear spell, he's utterly astonished. He can't fathom how a second circle magician wields power far beyond his control. To aid his understanding, Verdin concentrates, gathering ice in his hand, stunning Vilshin with his mastery over 4 elemental attributes. An unrelenting shard of ice pierces Vilshin's body, and in his final moment, he realizes his opponent has been manipulating him from the very start. With the enemy mage defeated, Verdin remains calm, convinced that participating in this quest has been a valuable experience. Speaking of combat, remember that deranged ORC the bandits mentioned earlier. That ruthless fiend is feasting on humans and flaunting the explorer's necklace. And something tells me he's craving even more. Let's rewind 2 days for the strategist. Verdin prepared before embarking on the quest against the bandits by crafting a medicine. From ingredients he pilfered from the magic tower. He calls it the magic circuit dilator. Given his past as a human test subject, subjected to the tower's experiments, you might assume he'd avoid revisiting that life. Yet for this medicine alone, he injected it into his own body. The aftermath was sheer torment. Verdin screamed, howled, and roared in excruciating pain. Only through this risky, impromptu experimentation did he manage to ascend into the ranks of third-tier magic. Returning to the present, he ultimately concludes that Vilshin is dead, despite just having impaled him with a massive spike. This conclusion is crucial, as only by appearing victorious can he earn recognition from the explorers, which will in turn build the Baron's trust over time. Spotting the magical wand clutched in Vilshin's hand, our protagonist decides to pick it up and scrutinize it carefully, using his appraisal spell. His appraisal reveals intriguing details about the wand. It's a specially modified stone wand that sacrifices some casting power in exchange for enhanced efficiency with ice magic through the buffs it provides. Verdin immediately recognizes its value and opts to keep it. Just then the parrot rushes over to locate their new mage, explaining how worried they had been after dealing with the bandits. Verdin apologizes for the delay and recounts the circumstances surrounding Vilshin's powers, which led to an intense and drawn-out battle. Parrot instantly empathizes, having seen the battle. Scarred craters left sprawling across the battlefield, a clear sign of the fierce struggle. What surprises Verdin most is how swiftly the knights overwhelmed and dismantled the bandits, while he was still locked in combat with a single mage. Parrot cheerfully points out that the only remaining challenge is their leader Varia, whom Enoch is still battling. As they gather the fallen mage's body, Parrot expects the fight to be over by the time they return, then turns to address a question our protagonist has been eagerly waiting to ask. Verdin worries he might be unknowingly taking possessions from the bandits without their consent, but the parrot reassures him openly that anything discovered, which isn't critical to the mission, belongs to the finder. He's free to keep whatever he wants. This revelation delights the magician, who deeply appreciates Baron Pykh's generosity, now able to wield the wand without fearing any repercussions. Upon rejoining the team commander, Enoch praises Verdun's heroic actions that secured the mission's success. The mage humbly credits Verdun, viewing it as an invaluable learning experience. Meanwhile, the capture of Argabro is visibly shaken, as if haunted by a ghost. unable to grasp that his skilled mage companion fell in battle. The imprisoned bandit knows the Baron's coming means certain execution. Death is his only fate, refusing to die in a miserable cell. He harbors secret dreams of reaching Varia, slips his bonds, and resolves that escape is his sole chance at survival. Suddenly, Awoke and Verdin hear their comrades' blood-curdling screams as the furious bandit begins slaughtering their men. Filled with rage, Varia sets his sights mercilessly on the knight, intent on taking his life. Convinced this is his only safe way out without Vilshan's protection, he plans to steal a horse and make an immediate getaway. Once more, Varia's blade clashes violently against Awoke as the deranged bandit lunges, aiming his dagger toward his opponent's face. But the seasoned commander firmly seizes his hand, then swiftly uses his other arm to grab hold of Varia by the collar. All before the man even has a chance to process what's unfolding. The bandit crashes to the ground, stunned that a knight would discard his weapon, just to lock him in a chokehold. Winded and helpless, he could do nothing but glare fiercely as the guards restrain him, roaring at Awoke for his alleged lack of knightly honor. In response, the commander chuckles and questions what true pride really means, reminding that pride is a privilege reserved only for the living. He declares his intent as he aims his blade straight for the bandit's head, before forcefully driving it in with a precise, piercing strike. Varia falls dead. His blood-soaked body is swiftly hauled away for disposal. Though Awoke apologizes for exposing the boy to such brutality, he emphasizes that the knight had no other choice, rather than recoil in fear. Verdin simply praises the knight's skill, yet he questions why the other bandits remain alive but restrained. The commander reveals they recently discovered that some of those captured share connections to a recent nearby assault. They suspect these men were hostages, which is why they intend to bring them in for interrogation before determining their ultimate fate. With their mission complete, the knights order the guards to escort the bandits' bodies back to the castle. While one guard is engaged in subduing a bandit, another outlaw seizes the opportunity to sprint away, desperate to save his own life. Motivated by duty, a knight breaks away from the group to pursue the fleeing bandit. His pursuit is abruptly halted by Verdin, who senses that something about this unfolding scenario feels unsettlingly off. Just as the bandit vanished into the dense forest, chilling cries echoed pleas for mercy, and frantic calls for help reached their ears. The tension escalates further when a vile scent of fresh blood saturates the air, unmistakably signaling the presence of an unknown adversary, still lurking nearby. Suddenly, a deadly projectile hurtles toward one of the knights, only to be swiftly parried by the sharp edge of his sword. The object ricochets off each bounce, trailing sinister drops of blood. It is horrifyingly revealed to be the severed head of a bandit, a spine-chilling sight that sends a shudder through the group. Emerging from the forest comes a colossal figure, its immense shadow looming over the entire group, so immense that some struggle to believe an orc of this magnitude could exist. So deeply troubled, Verdin contends that none of the explorers stand a chance against such a formidable foe. The tension culminates as the muscular giant brandishes a massive blade, eyeing its prey with a predator's focus. Its sheer bulk prompts the group to question whether this creature qualifies as an orc at all. To their horror, it's not a solitary monster. Dozens of these brutal creatures emerge, overwhelming their field of vision. Yet one certainty pierces through the chaos. Verdin recognizes that this terrifying behemoth must be the leader, commanding the savage horde. It closely resembles the orc he encountered earlier. These orcs are known for their sinister grins, revealing long, sharp teeth jutting from the corners of their mouths. Adding to the threat, the red orc towers over the others, far larger than the average ones, clearly an evolved and dominant beast among its kin. Their battle for survival ignites as the red orc commands its followers to surge forward and attack the humans in response. The knight's leader swiftly organizes his men into a defensive formation, intent on neutralizing the minions first, before confronting the fearsome leader. Before Awoke can brace himself, The monstrous ORC swings its massive blade with devastating force, hurling the knight backwards from the tremendous impact. Now vulnerable and disoriented, the knight faces imminent doom as the red orc looms over him, intent on crushing him beneath its foot. At that critical moment, the other two knights intervene, slashing the creature's foot fiercely, enough to compel it to stagger backward. Weakened and unsteady, seizing the opportunity, Sir Enoch lunges forward, driving his blade deep into the creature's chest before delivering a devastating downward slash. The beast collapses heavily onto the ground, leading one to believe the battle has reached its conclusion, yet defying expectations. The orc bursts into laughter even as it teeters on the brink of death. In a shocking display, it seizes one of its goblin minions and tears it apart with a savage bite, leaving the knights frozen in horror at the monstrous adversary they confront. Having fully consumed the goblin and absorbed its energy, the red orc violently shifts its combat stance, driven into a frenzied rage, as it prepares to unleash destruction upon its foes. Enoch's core team stands stunned, realizing this beast's regenerative abilities will turn the boss fight into an intense struggle. Haunting screams echo around them as Commander Enoch rallies his group, steeling their resolve for the battle ahead. The creature launches into its next assault by hurling its sharp weapon through the air like a massive, deadly projectile. The weapon speeds toward a knight with such velocity that he barely manages to catch it at the last moment, raising the remarkable question of how this orc acquired the precision and intelligence to throw so accurately. Adding to the terror, the sheer force of the blade smashes the knight's swords into splinters, leaving him defenseless. Shard from a shattered sword slash across his face. And just when you might think this is the climax of the ordeal, colossal weapon strikes again, tearing a chunk straight from Harris's body. The fierce assault distracts Parrot so completely that he loses focus on his side of the skirmish. The novice knight fails to sense the orc's lightning-fast lunge toward him until it's almost upon him. Summoning every ounce of strength, Parrot swings his weapon, desperate to slash away the beast's grasping hand. But incredibly, the blade can't even scratch the orc's tough flesh, rendering the attack futile. Parrot finds himself in grave peril as the creature nonchalantly uses its other hand to try and crush the tiny human under its massive grip. Fortunately, our hero conjured another earth spell, effectively distracting the orc and keeping it occupied for a crucial moment. He then orders Parrot to retreat to safety, which the knight promptly does, dashing backward without hesitation. Although he survived, the pressing question remains, how on earth can they defeat this beast? Parrot is clueless, especially since he lacks a sword to fight, and Verdin deduces that the red orc likely gained a burst of recovery speed after consuming one of its goblins. This buff is so potent that even Parrot's full-strength strike to sever its arm proved futile. Facing such a formidable orc for the first time, they start to wonder if this creature is a legendary being. Far beyond their capabilities, however, the mage counters this theory, insisting that despite its monstrous power, it is nothing mythical. Reflecting on the creature's devouring and regenerative abilities, Verdin evaluates its strength further, noting how it exerts control over the smaller monsters of its species. Moreover, its raw power allows it to hold its own against seasoned knights, facing every conceivable battle scenario. This ORC isn't just any fighter. He's essentially the Darth Vader of their ranks. Yet despite all these observations, Verdin firmly believes labeling it a special entity would be an exaggeration. Let's take a moment to examine the limitations of conventional magic. As more mana is infused into a spell, it still cannot surpass a fundamental ceiling. Beyond a certain energy threshold, the spell invariably collapses. This is the inherent balancing principle governing magic. Yet among these enchantments, there exists a rare spell immune to this very restriction, invoking geographic manipulation. Verdin deftly shifts the circle clutched in his hand. This action triggers a devastating earthquake, forcibly reshaping the terrain itself. The guards recoil in terror, believing yet another catastrophic calamity has befallen them. They were already struggling against an overwhelmingly powerful foe, and now an earthquake threatens to doom them. Fortunately, Enoch quickly speaks up to steady his troops, explaining that this tremor is the work of their own mage, attempting to shield them. His reassurances echo across the battlefield. Yet even the knight commander understands that retaining composure in such dire circumstances is nearly impossible. This is because their mage has literally raised the very land beneath their feet. This upheaval annihilates the arena, sending every one of the orc's forces tumbling down. The red orc snarls in confusion as he spots the mage looming far above. With a formidable third-tier fireball spell active, Verdin unleashes it again, incinerating the monsters with blistering flames. The scene inspires hope and triumph among the humans, with Parrot jubilantly witnessing the monster's utter defeat. It's immensely gratifying to witness such a dramatic reversal in the battle's tide. As this unfolds, the mage realizes that his geography manipulation spell has no inherent limitations. Yet none of the mages ever use it as their primary attack. This reluctance stems from the spell's immense mana consumption, rendering it impractical compared to other options. Unfortunately, this same challenge troubles our protagonist. He bitterly regrets lacking sufficient mana to unleash power beyond third-tier magic, finding even the current form of the spell disappointingly weak. Suddenly, a chilling growl pierces the silence, drawing the group's full attention. They're stunned to discover the behemoth not only remains alive, but is voraciously devouring its own foot soldiers to continuously regenerate and grow stronger. Terrified, Parrot scrambles to hide behind the mage, while Verdin opts for a strategy other than fire magic, calling upon the forces of water magic. Verdin unleashes a spell known as Wave. The tremendous force of the wave knocks the massive creature off balance. Staggering at this momentary disruption grants Verdin a risky chance to launch a follow-up attack. As he dismounts from his safe position, he combines his multi-ice arrow technique with a gust of wind spell, intensifying the original magic, in hopes of freezing the monstrous foe solid. This powerful fusion of two spells is known as bitter cold arrows. A torrent of jagged ice shards cascades down, freezing the red orc's minions solid in their tracks. But the menace posed by the red orc persists. Defying death, it endures the icy assault and retaliates by attempting to crush the mage. Beneath its massive hand, Verdin skillfully dodges the crushing blow, proving that although the creature boasts impressive regenerative abilities, its powers are limited while encased in solid ice. Emerging suddenly from the mage's blind spot, Verdin unleashes a powerful new spell known as the Frozen Orb. This decisive strike brings the battle to a close, transforming the red orc into an unyielding statue of ice. The victory belongs to the ingenious mage, a feat especially impressive given the creature's resilience. This monstrous being remains one of my favorite and most extraordinary characters in recent tales. Now let's return our focus to the magical city of Verdin. We discover the townspeople buzzing with alarming news. The magic tower has been shut down temporarily. Whispers suggest the tower's primary energy core exploded, but skepticism lingers notably. Several mages have disappeared, and the entire tower has ceased functioning. Moreover, the scale of the explosion and ensuing destruction cast doubt that the energy source alone caused such devastation. Some among the public speculate this calamity might be divine retribution, or possibly the work of an insider's treachery, when the elderly man voices a suspicion that the Bohemian Magic Tower might have been secretly monitored or sealed off. His remark draws the keen attention of a nearby mage. The old man continues insisting it's impossible for the magic tower to have locked itself down. He boldly speculates that clandestine experiments inside the tower lead to its destruction. The man with the mustache ends up spilling his coffee as the mage abruptly seizes him, demanding he repeat exactly what he just said. Confusion washes over his face as he struggles to respond. The familiar mage draws back her cloak, revealing herself as Rovelyn, who is enraged upon learning what has befallen the Magic Tower. In the following scene, celebrations erupt to honor the successful defeat of the bandits. As the victors and heroes return triumphantly to PYTH territory, Baron PYTH is so thrilled by the victory that he hosts a grand banquet to commemorate the occasion. The highlight, not a single member of the squad suffered a major injury. At first, our hero is nowhere in sight, but then he makes a dramatic entrance, fully decked out and looking sharp, although late. His arrival reminds us that great things are worth the wait. Verdin's tardy arrival is inconsequential, since the jovial, inebriated Baron couldn't be happier and pays him no mind. Our young protagonist expresses heartfelt gratitude for the warm reception, noting his surprise that even the lowest-ranking soldiers received invitations to the banquet. The Baron, however, firmly states that rank holds no weight when a man bravely defends his land. I must say, this perspective stands out as one of the most sincere and refreshing I've encountered in any narrative. The Baron, intrigued, inquires about the status of the bandits, although assigned to a mission of subjugation. Even Baron PYTH acknowledges that Verdin and his team confronted exceptionally formidable foes. The Mage confirms this reality, emphasizing that these adversaries are far from ordinary bandits. Given the extraordinary skills these individuals possessed, Verdin strongly believes they could have easily enjoyed a comfortable life had they chosen a different route. Although unspoken, here it's reasonable to infer that these bandits once fought for a noble cause. Returning to the tale, the Baron reveals that he personally commissioned an inquiry into the activities of these criminals. According to the investigation report, these bandits were notorious criminals who once lived as revered gold-rank adventurers, underscoring their immense power. Unfortunately, a few years ago, one member fatally betrayed a teammate during a mission and fled to avoid punishment. Soon thereafter, tracking and apprehending them became impossible. It's now clear that they banded together as outlaws, operating within Baron PYTH's domain until they were ultimately brought to justice. Verdin highlights the significance of a gold-ranked adventurer, the fourth highest rank reserved for those who have completed an extraordinary number of missions. With this context, it's no surprise that these individuals carried an enormous bounty of 10 million elk each. Moreover, our hero now comprehends why the Baron wears such a satisfied expression. It's Verdin's intervention that ensured the subjugation mission was successful, eliminating all the bandits without any serious casualties. Without Verdin's involvement, the outcome could have been disastrous. The amusing part is watching the Baron gaze at Verdin with an almost love-struck look. His joy knows no bounds. He stresses that the remarkable Mage not only defeated the formidable bandits, but also dealt with the demi-humans. Thanks to Verdin's courageous efforts, the Adventurers Guild officially recognized him and sent their commendations. In short, our protagonist rose to celebrity status in no time. Ironically, he was simply fulfilling his duty. Perhaps the Baron really is too intoxicated to judge clearly. The man himself openly acknowledges this reality. Before addressing Verdin with a grave seriousness, he begins by expressing his gratitude to the Mage for the invaluable service that ensured the safety of the vulnerable villagers, enabling them to finally hold dignified funerals for the bandits' victims. The knights and their leader, filled with admiration, raised their glasses in a heartfelt tribute to Asher, the great mage and celebrated hero who liberated the Pytha territory. This sentiment of deep respect and appreciation resonates throughout the entire banquet hall. Reflecting on how the banquet concluded, Verdin notes how it contrasted sharply with his treatment back at the Magic Tower. Here social rank mattered little, and everyone enjoyed an equal space to celebrate. A powerful reminder that life is not solely about ourselves, but also about those who contribute to our happiness. Verdin feels deeply touched by this contrast, having endured the cold distance and rigid severity of the Magic Tower's atmosphere. Instead, this place radiated warmth and welcome, affirming his sense of belonging in a way he had never experienced before since fleeing that dreadful tower. It was the very first time the mage allowed himself to laugh freely, and from the depths of his heart. It was a heartwarming moment indeed. Yet the story was far from reaching a joyful conclusion, unbeknownst to everyone present. A catastrophic collapse was brewing within the Bohemian Magic Tower. Let us now shift focus to understand that unfolding crisis. Ravelin returned to the Magic Tower, amazed to discover it still standing intact. I know you all missed upon. The one piece is indeed real. She radiated joy knowing that the tower's survival disproved all the rumors that had been swirling around. A man inquired about her unexpected arrival from Verdin. She confided her fears. After hearing reports the tower had been destroyed and the surrounding land ravaged, yet seeing the tower with her own eyes, she realized none of those catastrophic stories were true. Buoyed by this revelation, Ravelin's heart yearned to find Verdin, the one person in the entire tower she truly cared about. Upon hearing Verdun's name, the man gestured toward a bustling crowd gathered nearby. At the forefront stood a list of missing individuals, and there unmistakably was Verdun's name. Ravelin's world crumbled as she absorbed the devastating reality. All these people were missing, especially Verdin. Verdin had been on duty until exposure to potent magical energy. Many presumed him dead, much like a nuclear blast, leaving a body unrecoverable. Ravelin trembled with grief and faced a flood of agonizing questions. In a swift moment, memories of past conversations with Verdin surged through her mind. Those memories grew hazy, against the backdrop of his choice to remain inside the tower. To her, it felt profoundly unjust. They would never meet again. The way things had ended was simply unacceptable. Overwhelmed by despair, she is consumed by profound physical and emotional pain. Breaking down into tears over her friend's tragic death, the woman spirals into a frenzy, unable to accept the grim reality unfolding before her. Strangely, she even relegates him to family zone status during her outburst, reminiscent of the dynamic between Eren and Mikasa. Nevertheless, her fury explodes as she vehemently refuses to accept the outcome. Just before she can unleash her wrath, Sir Valdek steps in to soothe her, reminding the young woman that directing anger at others serves no purpose. He discovers her engulfed in misery, while Ravelin shrinks back in defeat. Questioning the disastrous events that transpired at the tower, he first offers her comfort before outlining the situation, explaining how the power source spiraled out of control, adding to the misfortune. This catastrophe struck precisely when senior mages were away, attending the magic festival, and with the power source erupting violently. Every protector defending it was utterly annihilated. The devastation extended beyond lives lost. Years of critical research were erased in an instant, as valuable records disappeared. On top of that, the treasure vault sustained significant damage. It was a complete catastrophe. The vault's contents, including spell books and priceless artifacts, vanished entirely, leaving nothing behind. Now Sir Valdex seethes with frustration after enduring such loss. To him, the gravest blow was losing his experimental test. Subject, he doesn't share a single detail of this with Ravelin. Yet privately, he laments his failure to retrieve Verdun's brain. If they had managed to secure it, they might have mitigated some of the damage. This reckless man was even scheming to replicate an Einstein scenario by extracting and preserving Verdun's brain. Sir, Valdek believes they can still achieve justice for what transpired. After all, they possess a vital lead on the individual, responsible for triggering the initial power surge. Upon hearing this, Ravelin turns back. Eager to learn more, he explains that just 3 hours before the surge, someone vanished without leaving a trace. Thanks to Valdek's personal network, he managed to track this individual down and uncovered something significant. It was a pendant, strikingly similar to the Millennium Puzzle from UGIO. At least in my opinion, Ravelin can hardly believe her eyes. The necklace unmistakably bears the emblem of the Black Hour. This shadowy organization masters powerful magic and harbors grand ambitions. to dominate the world using their arcane abilities. Yet their motives for targeting the Magic Tower remain puzzling, despite the uncertainties surrounding their infiltration. Valdek strongly suspects the Black Hour's involvement, even though he's unclear how they managed to breach the tower's defenses. Determined to avenge his fallen comrades, Valdek intends to dispatch a specialized extermination squad to eradicate the Black Hour, aware they'll require every bit of assistance. He plans to recruit her for this critical mission. Given the events of today, Valdek is confident she is ready to join their cause. The Scarlet Mage burns with fierce rage, cursing anyone who dares to stand between her and Verdin, snatching him away from her. What a dramatic showdown now. Let's leap forward a few days to catch up on the happenings within the PYKEH territory. At the Adventurers Guild, Verdin quietly sips his tea, enjoying a rare moment of peace. The man seated across from him is overwhelmed with guilt, apologizing sincerely for the entire ORC incident. Even after dispatching their elite gold rank adventurers, they failed to neutralize the threat. Verdin takes it in stride, remaining calm and refraining from complaints. For successfully completing the subjugation mission, he receives a formal notification. As he reads the note, the mage notices an additional payment for the bounty on the New York's head of foe, previously deemed impossible to defeat. This bonus pushes his total reward to an impressive 24 million elk. However, after taxes, which amusingly most highlights tend to ignore, his sum is halved, leaving him with a final payout of 12 million elk. The guild's representative reminds him about the taxation policy, which heavily penalizes those not officially registered with the guild. Had he been a registered member, he could have minimized these fees. Unfortunately, despite his extraordinary achievement, the tax cannot be waived, enforcing strict charges in his case. It's quite amusing that in the very next scene, the same guy explains a method to avoid the tax, though it's not illegal at all, just an offer to join a guild. By joining, Verdin can avoid steep tax cuts, because this particular guild imposes lower taxes on high-ranking adventurers. With his past achievements, he'd even begin at the silver rank. Despite the tempting nature of this proposal, it doesn't align with the mage's long-term goals, since there's something far more important to him than the immediate financial benefit. Like a calculating strategist, he calmly declines the offer and accepts the tax burden, prioritizing his true ambition to become powerful enough to exact revenge, rather than merely accumulating wealth. Verdin's introspection is compelling. Reflecting on his time as a test subject in the Magic Tower, over those grueling 7 years, he realizes that despite everything, his identity as a mage remains unshaken. He then heads to the guild storage area, driven by the belief that his journey as a mage should be defined by uncovering mysteries and pursuing knowledge above all else. There he brings forth the corpse of the unique orc variant he defeated, the same relentless creature that was too fierce to die, preparing to assume the role of a meticulous surgeon. To uncover what made this beast exceptional, what fascinates Verdin is that the monster's remains show virtually no signs of decay, a state preserved by a special artifact employed by the guild. I must highlight how this story cleverly addresses small but crucial details like this, making the narrative thoroughly engaging at the same time. The artifact emits such a foul odor that our hero is nearly overcome. On the verge of fainting, he carefully examines the orc, noting its red pupils and reddish skin, both indicators of a typical specimen. Yet, the creature's distinctiveness begins with its grotesquely torn mouth, stretched into a sinister grin that would haunt anyone's nightmares. Moreover, it boasts a physique far more imposing than that of ordinary orcs. While its muscular build stands out among its peers, it pales compared to the might of higher-tier monsters, such as orc warriors or orc lords. Similarly, although the creature shows intelligence, it's neither the shrewdest nor most cunning of its kind. Judging by these traits, Verdin surmises this is less an evolutionary leap and more likely a mutation. Despite labeling it a mutation, Verdin remains hesitant about his conclusion, his face betraying a lingering doubt. His uncertainty stems from the orc's formidable regenerative abilities, which are difficult to fully comprehend. Coupled with the enhanced strength gained through its consumption powers, the creature defies simple classification, adding layers of mystery to its true nature. While examining the creature's body, Verdin is fortunate enough to notice a peculiar scar that immediately draws his attention. Here's the key point. Regeneration should restore the body to its original condition. The fact that this same monster endured our hero's flame spells, despite severe burns and severed flesh, implies it should have healed minor wounds without leaving any scars. Sensing something suspicious about the scar, Verdin examines it more closely and deduces that the creature must have acquired this mark before developing its regenerative abilities. This suggests that the scar resulted from some form of surgical procedure. After all, demon humans can only gain new powers through natural evolution. After birth, however, this example leads Verdin to one compelling conclusion. That conclusion is this creature was artificially engineered. And if Verdin's suspicions prove accurate, it spells a dire predicament for everyone involved. The very next day, the knights arrive to bid farewell to the gifted mage. We honor him as a savior, insisting he deserved a fitting and respectful send-off. Yet, our hero insists he has already received more support than he merits. Additionally, with his newly acquired artifacts, the beast-hide robe and the ring of circulation, he gains a modest increase in mana capacity and faster recovery rates. The knight commander reassures him that every bit of support is truly well-deserved. Verdin expresses his gratitude to his friends and bids them a heartfelt farewell, hopeful that their paths will cross again in the future. As Verdin prepares to depart, his friends offer a final piece of advice. He should visit any branch of the Conrad Merchant Guild, whose support will prove invaluable once they learn about his connection to the knights. With farewell said, Verdin sets out on his journey. Soon he reaches the village, positioned at the crossroads between the Pyth and Mart's territories. He dismounts by casting a flight spell and proceeds on foot into the heart of the village. This village stands as his sole refuge, a safe haven where he can rest and regain strength for the challenges that lie ahead. After purchasing an apple, he continues along his path. As he walks, he overhears a villager venting frustration and despair, instantly recognizing a valuable opportunity for information. Quietly, he employs his Whisper of the Wind spell to eavesdrop. The two men discuss a recent problem. Goblins have been stealing livestock, resulting in substantial losses for the villagers. Moreover, they now face high expenses hiring adventurers to resolve the issue. One of them laments that they might have saved money if they had dealt with the goblins themselves. However, this decision was beyond their control from start. The village chief insisted the task be entrusted to adventurers. They can only wait a day and let these renowned heroes handle the problem. Despite the hefty fee, hearing this turmoil, Verdin grows curious about the true reason behind the goblin invasion. The goblins in this world are fascinating creatures. They begin with petty thefts, but quickly escalate to launching massive raids, overwhelming entire villages and preying on the inhabitants. Consider them like an infectious plague. And to eradicate this menace, adventurers are promptly summoned. Verdin perceives this as routine protocol, so he remains untroubled just as Verdin is preparing to depart. The two men begin whispering about rumors of a monster sighted deep within the forest. Interestingly, the village chief insisted that this information remain confidential, yet the talkative local spreads it anyway, assuming he's unobserved everyone but our keen young hero. That is apparently a man named James had set up a trap to hunt. As was his custom, suddenly, his attention was captured by the distressed cries of a wild boar nearby. Then he spotted a monstrous goblin, straight from the depths of a nightmare. Feasting on the boar, this creature, larger than an orc, had a grotesquely torn mouth. Of course, this tale sounds unbelievable, which is why the villagers keep it hidden from the adventurers, fearing it might inflate their fees. But our hero overheard everything he needed, deactivated his spell, and pondered the revelation. What stands out most to him is the vivid description of the creature's mutilated mouth. Regardless, this clue is invaluable, as it brings him one step closer to the truth, drawing from his past battles against the orc variant. That very day, deep in the forest, a band of adventurers vigorously hunts down these troublesome goblins. Like relentless pests, meet Mina and Loki, silver-ranked adventurers, who seem remarkably unfazed as they prepare for the mission ahead. Loki, a playful provocateur, mocks Mina for boasting about striking a target right before her. Their sharp banter contrasts with the other duo's serious dedication to the mission. Both explorers hold silver rank, and Iris gathers from miles the direction where the goblins are located. The man suspects that the remaining goblins are concealed within the vast cave which serves as their lair. Before they advance, the sharp-eyed Iris recognizes they face hobgoblins, a superior breed compared to the typical goblins. But with caution, the mission remains manageable. As they enter the final stage of the mission, the group edges closer to the cave. Iris takes charge, ordering the destruction of all warning devices and totems around the perimeter. After demolishing the totems, she casts the spell Imbue Sight. This enchantment enables her team to navigate the darkness, effortlessly removing all visibility obstacles. She reassures them that torches are unnecessary thanks to the spell. Impressed as ever, Loki deeply respects their leader's reliable expertise. Awed by this confidence, the group ventures into the shadowy cave, steadily making their way forward. Yet as they penetrate deeper, their leader experiences a flicker of anxiety about the path leading back out. She senses a faint mana presence behind them, though she initially dismisses this intuition. Unbeknownst to her, her unease is well-founded. There is unmistakably a figure lurking just beyond them. Inside the cavern, the tiny goblins seem to be performing a reverent ritual, mourning the lives they have lost as they emit eerie screeches. Suddenly, an arrow flies through the air from a distance, striking one goblin and felling it instantly. With one enemy down, the two swordsmen charge forward, swiftly dispatching the remaining goblins. Even Mina senses that the operation is unfolding too easily, suggesting they will complete their mission shortly. However, their leader remains vigilant, convinced they must stay alert and not let their guard down. No sooner have the goblins been eliminated than a sudden, loud noise draws the group's immediate attention. To assist with scouting ahead, Mina volunteers to proceed alone, and I can't help but sense a looming danger for her. I hope my instincts are wrong. Iris cautions her to stay safe. As she moves forward, the adventurer stumbles upon a chilling scene. Tiny goblins torn apart limb by limb, their mutilated bodies strewn across the ground. The brutal discovery shakes Mina to her core, leaving her utterly speechless. Luke approaches, inquiring why she's delayed, but she can barely form a coherent reply, haunted by the gruesome sounds echoing in the distance. Just ahead, a colossal goblin is ruthlessly feasting upon its smaller kin. Its alien-like enormity dwarfs the adventurers, making them appear as insignificant as ants. Observing a monstrous dinosaur-sized goblin in a frenzy, overwhelmed and unable to process the horrifying scene before them, they stand frozen, gripped by fear. The bizarre mutated creature savored every bite with visible pleasure. Yet surprisingly, the adventurers had received no information about this beast in their mission briefings. This is precisely where they are underestimating the creature. By assuming its intimidating size is its sole advantage, Iris outlines a precise strategy. Mina will aim to destroy the creature's right eye, while Mildin loop distracts it. Once everyone is in position, Iris will deliver the final, decisive strike. The operation kicks off as the blonde archer swiftly nocks 3 arrows, steadying her aim from a strategic vantage point. From this perspective, the towering goblin appears oblivious, seemingly indifferent to the unfolding threat. Mina takes careful aim and, to my astonishment, successfully obliterates the creature's eye. Staggered by pain, the monster draws the attention of the 2 swordsmen, who leap forward to engage and distract it. Okay, seizing the initiative, surges forward with remarkable speed and determination. His attack is a direct slash that slices through the goblin's flesh, though it falls short of cutting it in half. Despite dealing a solid blow, Loki barely has time to react. before the colossal goblin singles him out as its immediate prey. Taking command, the team leader and mage Iris summons a powerful burst of mana energy. She unleashes a series of explosive spells that streak toward the goblin, detonating forcefully upon contact. Overwhelmed by relentless agony, the creature erupts into anguished wails. Writhing in torment, it grabs one of the tiny goblin corpses and hurls it like a massive cannonball. Loki stares in disbelief as the furious creature flings a devastatingly powerful projectile made from its own fallen prey. The situation looks dire for Iris. Unarmed and vulnerable, a direct hit from this attack would be fatal. Fortunately, our hero swoops in just in time, casting his air rail spell to shield Iris by diverting the goblin corpse away. Right beside her, the creature's body explodes into a spray of blood upon impact, leaving no trace of its flesh. Iris sinks into despair after a terrifying close brush with death. Mina launches a relentless assault, firing arrow after arrow to blind the goblin. At last, the colossal goblin collapses to the earth. Signaling its defeat, the group immediately rushes over, anxious about Iris's condition. Luckily, she is unharmed, though she knows she can't explain how the projectile's path shifted. Just before impact, the silver lining is that their mission concluded without any casualties. And now it's time to head back to the village to claim their reward. Things turn out far more smoothly than expected, and even Verdin, who is secretly assisting them, believes the conflict was resolved peacefully. Wearing his invisibility cloak like the legendary Harry Potter, the brother trails them unnoticed, spotting yet another example of the artificial demi-humans. After comparing his encounter with the previous test subject to this one, Verdin highlights a disturbing similarity. These creatures bear a mutilated mouth carved into a sinister, demonic grin. This grotesque feature is precisely why he dubs them the Jesters. Yet the giant goblin stands apart from the typical Jesters. Unlike them, it lacks boosted physical strength and cannot regenerate or amass power by consuming its own kind. This anomaly suggests it might be a failed experiment. Among the Jester lineage, meanwhile, our protagonist forms a favorable impression of Iris, the mage leading the group, who is currently performing a final examination of the goblins under her command. He recognizes her keen discernment and acute sensitivity to mana. The fact that she detected his mana presence, even before he entered the cave, speaks volumes about her abilities. Despite his discreet assistance, our protagonist ultimately fails to uncover anything noteworthy. During the investigation, suddenly, his focus shifts to a man caught off guard by the unexpected visitors in his cave. Notably, the man's attire differs markedly from that of a typical adventurer. This causes Iris to adopt a cautious stance, demanding the man's identification and warning him firmly to keep his distance. Amused, the man offers an apology, even though it's they who intruded into the place he was assigned to protect and disrupted everything. He's taken aback that the goblin managed to construct a totem in his absence, despite his explicit instructions to keep this cave hidden. Unfortunately, the totem's conspicuous placement has revealed the goblin's secret refuge. The man's disappointment deepens as he realizes that, even after tampering with the creature's mind, he still couldn't enforce complete obedience. I have to point out that this guy is unervingly calm, given the gravity of the situation. That's a clear sign he's a psychopath. He's even casually probing them about any unusual observations or odd behaviors displayed by the goblin. When they fail to provide any answers, his disappointment intensifies, confirming that the creature was nothing extraordinary. He's already anticipating his professor's anger. Upon hearing about this failure, the man keeps babbling aimlessly, throwing out pointless remarks, since no one is responding. He concludes that the only option left is to start from scratch, and grimly acknowledges that the four adventurers are doomed to perish. Here this shifts Iris's group into full combat readiness, as she keenly wonders how he plans to take on all of them, despite being vastly outnumbered. This man seems to wield an ancient anti-jump spell from the Heian era, a technique Sukuna would have desperately needed in his final battle. He's determined not to let them escape. since they sabotaged his crucial experiments. But frankly, he never intended to let them leave alive under any circumstances. Essentially stepping into this cave sealed their fate. Iris firmly rejects any notion of fighting, insisting they must remain silent about everything that happened. Yet the suspicious man doubts any guarantees and draws his sword in preparation. Just as I suspected, he's a true psychopath, unconcerned with the experiment itself. His sole focus is mercilessly slaughtering them. Advancing toward them, he aims to claim his first victim. Breaking his silence, Verdin warns the villain that he alone will perish today. Initially, the attacker scoffs at Iris once more. That is until he amusingly realizes the threatening voice originated from behind him. Before he can even react, a powerful spell strikes him, hurling him forcefully into the wall. The mage reveals himself confidently, declaring this wannabe tough guy is hopelessly outmatched and should give up now, casually farming aura and commanding show. Verdin prepares a lightning spell, primed to finish the fight.